Hey, Lead Store fans, this is Bill Rice again, and this week we're talking about 5 simple steps to setting up your personal sales metrics. So often in sales, we miss our numbers because we just don't know exactly what the incremental steps are to measure and to keep track of that form that journey to our ultimate sales quota, objective, compensation, whatever that big number is. We just haven't broken down the incremental steps to make sure that we stay on track. That's what we're going to talk about this week, coming up right now. So often, no matter how long we've been in sales, we forget to track the incremental steps that are required, the sales activity that we need to accomplish each and every day, each and every week, each and every month to hit our ultimate compensation, commission, sales, business objectives, whatever that big goal is. We forget to break it down and track it. So today, we're going to talk about how to create your own personal sales metrics, scorecard, whatever you want to call it, your personal numbers, so that you can make sure that you're on track each and every day, each and every week, each and every month to hitting that ultimate goal or promotion that you're looking for in sales. Let's break it down like this. So number 1, we want to work backwards. Figure out what that big goal is, what that big number is. How many sales do you need to hit that quota? How much revenue do you need to generate in a period of time? What business objective are you running to? What is that ultimate goal or promotion that you want to achieve? Whatever your sort of big number is, let's start there, and then we're going to work backwards. Because like I said, it's usually really obvious to know what that big goal that you're heading for is, but after that, the understanding of that journey starts to break down. What does it take to actually hit that goal? So number 1, start with the big objective, and we're going to work backwards from that number. The other thing that's important here is, to the best of your ability, turn it into simple math. Work from a number. These kind of esoteric sort of goals, we can still build some kind of key performance indicators out of that. But for sales, generally, we're working on a number. So try to start with a quota or a revenue number or a dollar number. Let's start with some simple math here to work our way back into our daily sales metrics, our daily scorecard, to figure out whether or not we're going to be successful. Number 2, write out or create a bullet point list or outline of the incremental steps that are required in closing a deal. How many calls? How many emails? How many text messages? Do you need to put out quotes? Do you need to put out proposals? What are those steps that you need to move through in order to close a deal? So often our sales brain is locked into, hey, a sales just requires me to call and then they buy something. But chances are, in any type of sales product or service, there are some incremental steps that need to be accomplished. You need to make some calls, maybe you need to make a demo, maybe you need to actually fill out an application and issue a quote. There's some incremental steps. Understand what they are, start to break them down into numbers. Number 3, start to notate the characteristics that make for a good lead or a good sale. Much like we're doing with our journey or our process to a sale, what are the incremental process steps? We want to do the same thing in documenting the characteristics of a good lead. What does a good lead look like? What types of products are they looking for? How much time do I usually spend on the phone? I know in this one particular, when we're kind of tracking talk time, often the more time you spend talking on the phone actually reduces the probability of closing that deal. So we're looking for these little types of characteristics of what actually makes a good lead. What product are they looking for? What service are they looking for? What potential pain pain point have they articulated when they made their inquiry? How long do you need to spend with them understanding your particular product or service? Again, we're looking for going back through your CRM and trying to find some sort of pattern, some sort of set of characteristics that are really consistently indicating to you, giving little green lights that, hey, this is something that's probably going to close. Number 4, know your conversion rates. We're starting to get into the math. Well, that's the last step that we're going to do here. So we will need to know what those numbers are. So start to understand how many leads, when I get a population of leads, how many of those leads will actually turn into contacts or conversations. And then I want to know that particular conversion rate. So out of 1,000 leads, how many contacts, how many conversations will I have on average? Again, this is where you need to dig into your CRM and run some filters and run some reports. Ultimately, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put the number of contacts or conversations divided by the total number of leads that I had in any given period of time. Maybe this is on a weekly basis, maybe it's on a monthly basis, but understand what that conversion rate is. And you're probably looking for something on a monthly basis, because the larger that data set is, the more consistent that number will be, the more accurate it will be. So again, our first number is we're trying to figure out how many contacts or how many conversations can I have out of a total population of leads. So if I buy 1,000 leads, how many conversations or contacts can I expect? And again, the formula, the math is contacts or conversations divided by the total number of leads that I started with to have those conversations. The next step, and again, essentially we're trying to figure out the conversion rates along that outline that you made, the journey to a sale. We're trying to figure out at each step, what is the potential for conversion. So again, another sample step would be, how many quotes do I get to issue, or how many applications did I get to take based on the number of conversations that I had? And again, we're taking applications or quotes, whatever that next incremental step is, and we're dividing that by the number of actual conversations or contacts that I made. And so I now have another incremental conversion rate that can keep me on track and let me know whether or not I'm actually moving towards success. And then the last potential, again, these are kind of sample conversion rates. You can pick other particular conversion rates along your timeline. But then the last one is, based on the number of quotes that I issued, how many of those deals will close? So again, that last conversion rate is closed deals divided by the number of applications I took, the number of quotes I issued, whatever that kind of incremental step is. And so I'm looking for, and I'm going to document all my conversion rates, right? So there could be 3, there could be 5, depending on the complexity of your sales process, but you're looking for conversion rates at every sort of incremental step along that journey to a closed deal, because we're going to use that number to move backwards from the big number and break it down into monthly, weekly, and daily sales metrics or goals that we're going to start tracking. Okay, number 5, this is the last step. I want to reduce my personal sales metrics down to something that will fit on an index card and probably only amounts to 3 or 4 numbers that I'm tracking each and every day, each and every week, each and every month to make sure that I'm on track to hit that big goal. I always call this the Disneyland numbers. I don't know where it came from, somewhere I read or heard. I think it was Disney, but it could be something else. But essentially, the way the story went is that the actual manager of one of these large, highly complex theme parks like Disneyland used to actually manage the success of that business based on an index card that he got each and every day that gave him 4 basic numbers or 4 basic metrics. So he was able to determine out of all the complexity in running a major theme park, if these 4 numbers were right, if they were hitting goal, he knew that he would have a successful month, a successful quarter, and ultimately a successful year. And so that's what we're looking for, is to boil it down to these 4 numbers. In his case, he was looking at things like, how long are the wait times on the rides? How many concession sales did we do in the previous day? And again, so they were boiled up, high, easy to understand metrics, but he knew if those 4 numbers were on track, he was going to hit the ultimate revenue goals that he needed to make. So we're going to try to do the exact same thing. Here are some sample Disneyland numbers that you can probably directly apply and that I have used over and over again. So number one, the number of calls I need to make per day. So this is where your conversion rates are all going to become important, is how many calls do I actually need to make in order to get to my contacts that I'm going to need. So again, you're going to have to do some math here. You're going to have to lay it into a spreadsheet to come up with that number. But ultimately then you will have a number that you can put on a note card every single day, pin up in front of your phone and say, I need to make this number of calls per day in order to walk myself all the way up the journey into that big number. And then once you have that, you're going to be tracking your goal versus your actual. And on this particular one, this is where you're going to have some flexibility to move. Depending on what that goal was, the actual for that goal the previous day, you may need to catch up and make more calls. You may have a little breathing room and be able to take a little less time towards calls this day. But at least every single day, you'll know how you are fitting up against your goal and whether or not you're on path, on task, on metrics to actually hit that ultimate goal. So the first one that I've used is the number of calls I need to make per day, put my goal in there, and then actually track my actual. Number two, we live in a digital age, so the other one that's equally as important is the number of emails that I need to send out each and every day to get to the contact rate that I need to ultimately issue enough quotes, take enough applications to get the closed deals that I need. So how many emails do I need to send out each and every day? Number three, this could be application, this could be quotes, this could be proposals, whatever that offer is. How many offers do I need to make per day in order to close the deals? You can see how all of this is relating back to that conversion rate math. Once I have the big number, I'm breaking all these down and I'm going to break them down into monthly, weekly, and then daily goals. So how many quotes, how many applications, how many proposals do I need to have to issue each and every day in order to get to my ultimate sales goal? Number four, and now you're going to see why those incremental steps are so important. The fourth and final one is how many closed deals do I need per day? Now, most of you will probably come back because you're selling things that are reasonably complex and reasonably profitable that you don't have to make a sale each and every day. So if you need to make 5 sales and that's your big number, that's your sales quota for the month, it's really easy for you to kind of slip behind the power curve and say, well, I've only got to close 5 deals. And then your brain starts to mislead you into thinking, well, that's probably like 7 calls, right? And what you're actually going to find out when you do these numbers is that's probably like 1,000 calls, right? So you need to back up from that big number. And even on your card, it may be less than 1 per day. So maybe that goal needs to be, hey, per week, I need to make 2 sales. Per month, I need to make 5 sales. So you may have to incrementally kind of fudge on that number so it's not a daily goal. But you do need to keep track of it. You do need to tick it off to make sure you're running to that total. But it will reinforce how important all of that daily sales activity that you're tracking and you're making sure that you're on pace for and you're doing enough work in order to yield the results that you need. It's going to show you how important those 4 numbers and how they work together. You can see personal sales metrics are critical to success, critical to keeping you on task, critical to actually lowering your stress level, critical to actually planning out time off. You can always take those personal sales metrics now that you have them and say, I don't want to work every single day. And so you just have to ramp up the sales activity on the days that you do work. You will find out that there is a certain level of work that is required in sales in order to generate closed deals. You can incrementally improve them, get more efficient, and look for opportunities to do all kinds of things that will help automate or scale that activity. But ultimately, going through this exercise will give you a good idea of the actual sales activity you need to commit to in order to hit your ultimate goal. As always, I hope that you've enjoyed this sales training. Hit me up in the comments with any questions that you have. Also tell me in the comments anything that you would love for us to cover next. Maybe some challenges that you're working on, maybe something you've figured out that you just want us to highlight to the rest of the community. I would love to have and continue this discussion down in the comments. As always, subscribe to us on YouTube and hit that notification bell so that you get each and every one of our training videos when we drop them every single week. Till next time, have a good one. Happy selling.